So now we know how to create a script, take screenshots, and we have done all of this intuitively. But instead of using Taiko to run your commands based on what you read, you can also specify specific elements. What I mean is, when we run Taiko, just let me get it open on browser. Okay, let me put it aside. And we go to taiko.com. Now writing here. And then using, so now here, instead of using click and simply writing the text, what we see here, we can actually write the XPath of any of these two. So instead of using the intuitive way of using the text that we see and putting directly to click or interact with elements, we can also specify what exactly we want, like we did in Selenium using either XPath or CSS selector. So let's say I want to click this, which is the fourth one. I would simply take its XPath, copy it, and the syntax for this would be using a dollar. So either if you are using a CSS selector or an XPath, you just use a dollar and put your either XPath or CSS selector like this. Let me close this. And if I run this code, this should also work. So this should also work like any other code of ours worked. And as you can see, it actually clicked this custom selector instead of using the one implicit one, and actually opened a new page. Let's generate our code. So let's call it code hello. It's .code, I think. Let me check the APIs. API code. Oh, I think it's .code. Yes. So I will do .code hello world new .js, and we have a new file called hello world new.js with our custom XPath selector for clicking. Now let's talk a bit about the assertions. So there are also a number of implicit assertions in Taiko. Let me show you how easy it is to use them. So first of all, we need to import the assert, which we can do simply by typing the following: constant assert equals, this would be our value which we'll be using in our Node.js app, and for that we would require assert. So you will just write that down, assert, and then because we will put it strict asserts, we'll use the strict keyword, and of course to end it a semicolon as soon as I find semicolon. All right, here we have. And now we can use this assertion very intuitively any way I want. And now I will use the assertion to check whether an element exists or not. I can do this by simply write assert or I need to put await keyword first, await assert dot okay, and then I would write my selector, which would be await. In our case it would be text, and the text is of name hello world, and then we just want to check if it exists or not, so we will write exists. My bad, keep making that mistake. All right, exists. And now I can run this entire thing, and if it actually exists I should get a assertion response and the code shouldn't fail. So let's try node hello world new.js, npx Taiko hello world new.js hyphen 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 observe. So we see the DuckDuckGo is being open. We type hello world and we could see there is hello world there, and then it clicks hello world program, and you see it actually exists. So it checked if the button is existing. There was a button. It actually passed and went to the next option. Now you might also have noticed that even when it's opening the browser or telling us about the navigation, it's actually passing. This brings us to two things, meaning everything we do here is implicitly asserted and then passed. Meaning there are two kinds of assertion. The first kind is the implicit assertion, which we didn't see. So just while opening a browser, it actually asserting if the opening of browser is correct or not. In Taiko, we have two kinds of assertion, implicit and explicit. So when you don't have to write any code and it implicitly checks and passes the step, that's an implicit assertion. An implicit assertion would fail in case there is an issue in any of these steps. This is why we are putting everything in a try and catch block. And you can remove these implicit assertions by simply removing the try and catch block. In which case, if something goes wrong, it will throw an error. Now this custom assertions is what we are explicitly telling Taiko to run. Now you see here, we are actually checking with this assert keyword whether the output of this is either true or false. In our case, it was true, which meant that it actually existed, and we got a response that there is an element that exists with so and so text. But what if we want to check if an element doesn't exist? Now let's try using a negative custom assertion where this would actually check that no row with hello world as text exists on our page. And now, since we wrote this down as a negation, because we all know that exclamation mark is actually a negation, this should fail because hello world actually exists. Let's try running this again. I would do a npx Taiko hello world new.js hyphen hyphen observe. It opens the website, goes hello world. This time it doesn't click and just closes the browser. It doesn't click because it doesn't go to this step, and it throws an assertion error saying that we found that our assertion was actually false and there actually was an element with so and so text existing, which in our case is hello world. This is how easy it is to use Taiko.js assertions, which are A, implicit, and B, custom. Now, apart from using these implicit and custom assertions, we could also use Taiko with other custom libraries, meaning you can use any test runner you want, maybe Gauge or Mocha or Jest, and Taiko would also work the same way, and you can use assertions from those test runners.